About a month after this course had been re-recorded and published into the LinkedIn Learning Library, Microsoft changed the way we get data, which also changed the user interface for the millions of Power BI users. This is the joy and sorrow of web-based software. It can be improved all the time, and it's often improved with no advance notice. This movie and the movies in the next chapter, titled Get Data, are all new, so that you can see how this new user interface works and, more importantly, how we get data using the new UI. After that, we'll return to the movies that I'd recorded previously, and you'll see a little bit of a shift in there, and that's okay because the UI that you see on your screen may already be different than mine. Microsoft updates Power BI sometimes as often as twice a week. But here we are logged into the Power BI service, and we're going to take a quick tour. At the top, upper left-hand corner, we have the Microsoft 365 waffle. Over to the right, search, which is search for all of Power BI if we're looking for a particular item we've created or have loaded. To the right, then, the settings menu, which allows us to change settings for Power BI and to download other applications in the Power BI family. And then finally, when you click on your profile, you can see your licensing type. If you're running a trial, you can see how many days you have left. And you can sign out of your account, which you might want to do if you were using Power BI in a public location. Returning to the left, we have a navigation pane. This is Home, Create, Browse, which allows us to browse through the items that we already have, Data Hub, which shows us just our data sets, Metrics, which is beyond the scope of this course, but which allows you to view metrics on how applications are being used. Apps, which is where we load new applications from, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. Deployment pipelines, which are used to deploy Power BI solutions, also beyond the scope of this course. And then some information from Microsoft Learn on using Power BI. And workspaces. We have multiple workspaces available. I have My Workspace, which is also repeated directly below it. So My Workspace is one of the workspaces, but there are other workspaces as well. I have a Consumer Catalog Request workspace, a DAX workspace, and I can create a new workspace here if I wish. In the center then of the screen, all of the rest of what we have. At the top, recommended items. And these may be strong recommendations from your organization. For example, the first time you log into Power BI, you might see 4 applications that they recommend because they believe that people in your role in your work might use those, or they're the most popular applications in your organization. As you scroll down, you'll see a list of different objects in Power BI. So when we see this stack of cards that looks like the workspace icon, this is a workspace. This column chart icon is a report. The gauge icon is for a dashboard. The icon that looks just like the apps icon here is indicating that this is an app. And then finally, if you see the drum, which stands for data in flowcharting, then that's a data set that you can use inside of Power BI. These are the items I've used most recently. If you click favorites, then you'll see items that you have curated or favorited, and I'll show you that later in the course. And then finally, my apps are apps that you have loaded or possibly apps that you have created. If I click on My Workspace in the lower left-hand corner, I also have a filter here. This is everything in My Workspace. This is content, and content means not data sets. And then data sets and data flows so that you can separately look for individual items. But note, you have a search box right here that will allow you to search in My Workspace or any other workspace that you may have open. Here we have lots of dashboards and reports, and this is sortable. Each of these headers can be used so that you can sort by owner, you can sort by name. So you can browse here, but you can also search. Let's return to Home by clicking the Home button in the navigation pane. And a reminder that if you're working on a public computer, it's always a good idea to sign out when you're done.